What's up? Hey, so this is the face of someone who's highly stressed out, very stressed out right now. Um, Having one of those days, I just don't even know how to put it into words. And lately, I don't know, I'm just learning a lot about myself, and I just, I just want you guys to know if something ain't working, it's just not gonna work. Like if it's not working, it's just not gonna work. And then also, please know that I don't know. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. Let's talk about like how hard it is. Okay, I'm gonna tell this story, right? Kind of don't want to because it's gonna make me like emotional. But I had this therapist. I had this therapist. Let's just start there. And she like comes in to my life and she's like, I have 30 years of experience. I've been doing this for such a long time. And she knew that I previously had poor experiences in the mental health field getting help. And I expressed some of those experiences to her. I think I kind of chatted about it here once or twice, but not really in detail as much as obviously I gave this therapist. And and it's really like painful to talk about, but so she basically gassed me up. And so she did this thing called like adrenal something. It's basically, I don't remember the name of it, but it's basically when a therapist like makes you recount every traumatic thing that ever happened to you. And she essentially, I felt inclined to do it. I feel like she forced me to do it. Um, because I'm going to be honest, like I'm so desperate for a cure that I would do almost anything. Like no one wants to be depressed or wants to be like irritable or just forgetful or not have my mind completely there, because in reality the symptoms that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, it shows up every single day. And so people may be witnessing my symptoms and think, oh, she's an airhead. Oh, she's rude. Oh, she's scary. Or oh, she's this, she's that. And the unfortunate part of that is like it just further stigmatizes me and it also dehumanizes me. Because like regardless of the situation, we're all human. And that's something I try to keep in mind with anyone that I deal with, like in my life. Like we're all human, and we all deserve grace and understanding and patience as much as possible. So yeah. But yeah, so back to the topic. This therapist comes into my life, right? And she's like, oh, I done this in my career, I've done this in my career. And I don't know if this is like a thing, but like every therapist I've met, they all do that. Like they all come in and with their fucking like references at their door, like and they like kind of make it like, I can fix you. And it's discouraging when that's not the case, where like I've gotten my hopes up numerous of times thinking like this person is going to be the one to see and understand everything that I'm saying. And for me, what triggers me most is the multiple diagnoses, and hey, if I am something or if a label fits me, whatever, but like I think sometimes in therapy, I get lost in the labels that's attached to my name because therapists or care providers only see that label. They don't see joy. I'm joy. I'm not a label. My name is Joy. I am Joy. Get to know Joy. And like obviously you have to treat me based on the label that you put on me, but if you get to know me for a second, maybe you can accurately diagnose me, and then maybe that can lead to the help that I need. But telling me just like, I don't know. So yeah, so this therapist, right? She comes in, makes all these promises. She made me do some like shit called like a xenochrome or something. But it's basically a timeline of where you recount all the trauma in your life. And mind you, I have had challenges of opening up about like so much stuff in my life, but especially like my trauma. So I don't just have one incident, two incidents, three incidents, four incidences. Like my life has been, oh my God, a walking, like, just, it's been a thing, right? And so the point is for me to recount my trauma from the day I was born into my current age, because that's what it is. Basically, you go from like age one, anything happened to you then, age two, anything happened to you then, age four, age five, age 10, age, okay. And I think like we got all the way, let me not go there, but basically that's what it is. And that's a lot of trauma to recount to somebody. And also, this was like first session. She's asking me to do this, like, and I told her, I'm like, hey, I'm uncomfortable. And she told me, in order for you to get the help that you need, you're going to need to be uncomfortable. Honestly, that makes sense. It makes sense. Logically, it makes sense. She's like, you're going to need to be uncomfortable in order to get the help that you need. In order to be healed or get to a place where you're stabilized, you're going to need to address these things. So, I'm the type of therapist, and this is her exact words. She said, I'm the type of therapist that will do a deep dive, and I go deep into your emotions, Joy. And if you're not ready for that, then I'm not the therapist for you. Mind you, before she told me this, she had already gave me like her list of references. I went to this school, and she didn't like do it in a way that's like robotic. It was kind of like we were having a conversation. She just was talking about herself. You know, I went to this school. This is how much training I've had. This is what I do now. And I have my own private practice. Actually um I actually see this amount of people. I train other therapists on how to do therapy, like basically letting me know, or she was doing it because I think, now that I'm saying it, I think she was probably doing, I'm making fucking excuses for this lady. That's my nature though. But let me just say it. I think that she was doing that in order to put me at ease, because I had literally just got done telling her about my previous horror stories, or the time that how therapy has been for me. And so I think she came into the situation wanting to be the one that fixed me. And honestly, I wish I would have never met her. And I'm dead ass serious. And I very seldom say stuff like that. Well, I do now because I've just been on this roller coaster recently. Like, not me about to cry. I just wish I would have never met her. So, mm. So, yeah, this is the first session, by the way. So y'all get to that. The first session, yes, she does this thing where she like has me like, sorry, I'm like, my brain is trying to block it out, and like as I'm talking, it's the weirdest thing. It's like watching the highway disappear in front of your eyes, and it's so weird. Like as I'm talking about it, my brain is trying to block out what happened, but I obviously need to be able to recount what happened in order to tell it. But that's how like fucked up I am about it, like how traumatized I am from this situation. But yeah, it's really bothering me. It's still bothering me. It happened a while ago, probably about 3 to 4 months ago, but it's still bothering me. Um, so yeah. So she's like, she's like, okay, let's do this thing. And I forget the name of it, but basically it's like adrenal something. Adrenochrome, not I keep saying adrenochrome, but like not the Illuminati stuff. But like it's like when you recount from childhood to coming of age to adulthood to your current age of basically all of the trauma or major events. And like idealistically, if any like normal or healthy person does this thing, it their events in their life that they would talk about is, oh, I remember my first memory was my third birthday, and my mom got me this pony to ride. It was just, I just remember thinking, oh my god, that is such a beautiful pony. But realistically, just seeing the pages, I'm seeing the pages of my mom's photo book, it was like just just a donkey, that's an example. And then age 4, oh, when I was 4 years old, I remember my mom would take me every summer she started to take me every summer, I mean every weekend, to do a fun activity. And the best activity I can recall when I was 4 is going to the zoo, or going to the aquarium, or going, that's just like, I'm just making shit up, but like if I was a normal person, that would be like that would be the an example, and all the way to age 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. But for me, it was like my first memory, traumatic. Second memory, traumatic. Third memory, traumatic. Fourth memory, traumatic. And it's like, yo, like, okay, now it's like my brain is starting to develop, but like I have like so much trauma stored in my brain that like I either block it out, and I don't have memory from my childhood. So I remember having a conversation with my mother. She's like, "It seems like you only remember the bad," but like there was a lot of bad from my perspective. And then I thought about that, and I'm like, I do mainly remember the bad. Yeah, there was a lot of bad, but I'm sure there were some moments where it was good, but I can't even remember that. It's like my brain has blocked out everything or a lot of stuff. I don't even know. And then like sometimes I think I'm having like these memories or like flashbacks, and then it just feels like it doesn't quite fit. It feels like watching a movie. I'm like, is this something that happened? And then like I'll go to a therapist like every time I have like these instances where I remember something that happened to me, but I'm like, why is this thing in my head? Did this actually happen? They're always just like, there's never an answer. There's never an answer, a concrete yes or a concrete no. There's never an answer. So that's the most frustrating thing. Back on the topic. Girl, child, honey, baby, child. Um, Back on the topic. She like, so she goes through this, and so I think we get to age, I think 12. Mind you, she literally did from birth, and as we know, at my birth, it was literally traumatic. My mother could not push me out, so they yanked me out with forceps, and it fucked up my face. I have facial paralysis. Today is not a bad day because I gave myself a massage, but like sometimes this side of my face droops all the way down, which is a facial deformity. Like, let's just call a spade at this point. Um, Whatever. So it's like that. So birth, traumatic, facial deformity as a result type stuff. And then it's like, okay, so tell me about age 1. And what do you remember from there? Age 3. What do you remember from there? Age 4, age 5, age 6, age 7, age 8, age 9, and blah, 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 blah. I'm 25 now. And so I told somebody I was 24. Her. But I told him I was 24 because I really thought that in my head. But girl, that's just a whole mess in the head. Like, how do you not know how old you are? Um, Yeah. And so it got to a point where I'm like, honestly, this is just like a 60-minute conversation. It's just too much. I haven't had any sessions with you prior. I've had a lot going on. There's just a lot, like, I don't really have that rapport with you. Like, I just don't feel comfortable. And she's like, what I told you, she's like, listen, I dive deep. And if you're not ready to do that, then I'm not the therapist for you. But mind you, she had already put in my head that she's the one who can cure me. Like, from my perspective, I'm just going to be real. Like, from my perspective, I'm thinking, okay, like, if I don't do what this lady says, I'm not going to get cured. That's just being honest. I'm not going to get the help that I need because I hadn't met anyone prior to her who made me actually genuinely believe that, hey, there's hope. Like, this person can help me. She was more qualified than anybody else that I had spoken to based on just what she had told me as far as her experience. She seemed more qualified than anyone else. So I'm thinking, like, hey, the buck stops here. I'm not gonna have any issues with this lady because she's been doing this for 30 years. It's no way I'm gonna be the first person that anything goes wrong with her, or like, she's heard every, like, 30 years is a long time. Girl, you don't heard a lot in 30 years. So, like, to me, it's the good thing about her was the fact that I felt like what I tell you won't seem like, oh my God, I've never heard that before. Because I've had a therapist like that. I said something in therapy, and my therapist said, what do you even say? She's like, are you serious? How could you even say that? And it's like, you're supposed to listen to me, not criticize me, but whatever. But stay on topic. um Forgot what I was talking about. What did I say? That's one. So yeah. So at that point, I'm like, okay, well, let's just stop for this session. After she basically gave me an ultimatum. After she gave me the ultimatum, I was like, let's stop for the session and let me just think about it. She's like, you know what? Okay, I'll let you think about it. The next session, she's like, okay, so are you ready to pick up on it? You ready to go from there? And I was like, yeah, no. And so in the session, it was the weirdest thing. The next session, I still said no. I remember telling someone else how that situation went and how, I mean, I didn't really tell them how I felt because I just felt like I felt comfortable enough to tell them what happened, but I also felt like when I told them what happened, you know, this person has been around me or been there for me, watching me go through this with this and this and this with other healthcare professionals, and me just saying, no, I don't want to deal with it. And so in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to hear this person tell me, don't give up. And, but like to them, that's the best thing to say. But to me, it's just like in my mind, I don't want to hear you say that because it makes me feel like, okay, so there's something wrong. Like, girl, next topic. Anyways, what am I talking about? I forgot. Ow, I hit my lip. So, second thing that happened was, I'm sorry. Third, what? I'm sorry. Like I'm trying to like connect the dot. Like, what did I say? What did I say? Seriously, to help me out here. What did I say? I'm so depressed. Let me focus. What did I say? What did I say? What did I say? What did I say? Okay, let me just go back to second session. She's like, it was kind of weird. It didn't feel like a productive session because, mind you, I told her I didn't want to do her idea, and like she kind of asked me like, oh, what do you? So tell me about yourself and blah blah blah. So we ended up getting back into the adrenal thing. And so I started to tell her like age this, age 13, age 14, age 15. And yeah, age 13, age 14, age 15, and stuff like that. And so we get back into it. So she was guiding me to get back into it. So just to see how far she could push me. And the thing is, I wish I never would have met this lady. Like, I really, 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 really mean that. And like, I think people think that because I'm not breaking down in front of them, that I don't have breakdowns. Like, I know how to keep a straight face because like it's just not realistic for me to have a breakdown in front of you. I just it don't work like that. So like not me struggling, but yeah, fuck this. Like, ain't nothing in here. FYI, there's nothing in here but just like water. um, but yeah, she gets me to do this thing, and then 21 minutes, and I haven't said anything yet. Wow. Um, she gets me my eye. I had surgery on this eye. It bothers me so much. I need surgery again. But the time I had surgery on this eye, I was so stressed out. Like it doesn't even make sense. And like now I'm getting like it's like flaring up again. But story of my life. Anyways, so she like gets me to do back into the adrenochrome like childhood, the trauma timeline again. I'm just gonna call it trauma timeline. She gets me back to it like she's a therapist, so she knows how to get you to talk, basically. But I feel like how do I set a boundary with a healthcare professional? Because y'all teach people how to set boundaries, but in my experience, y'all the last to respect it. Like I told her I didn't want to do this. She made me do it, and then things got worse. Like she made me do it. She said, "Okay, I'll back off." She got back into it. Like she never said, "Okay, well, have you thought of it?" Like, da-da-da, whatever. So we get back into it, whatever. We start talking, and doing the trauma timeline or whatever. And yeah, so we're going through this timeline. Oh, mind you, second session we're in person because she's like, I would love to meet you. Like, I would love to talk to you in person. Like, I don't really meet, like, since COVID, I've been doing virtual sessions or sessions on the phone. Mind you, we were talking on the phone. And since then, since COVID, yeah, that's what we've been doing. And so now, like, I just think you're like a dope person. So I would love to meet you. So she came to the office to meet me. Mind you, I was working during this time. And I set aside time for our session. She came to the session an hour late and she had just eaten. She had stopped for lunch. She told me she stopped for lunch and that's why she was late. But I was like, okay, like this is, mind you, I had DC public insurance. So like she was an hour late for the session and she had told me she just ate at Kava. Like she literally told me she had just ate. Like she told me that with her mouth. Like, isn't that crazy? She was an hour late to my session and told me she was eating lunch at Kava. Like, what the hell? What? And because I'm just like, I don't understand what it's like to be treated well by people, I'm just like, okay, I guess this is happening, and I'm going with the flow. So she gets back into the timeline. Sorry, like, see how I'm telling all these stories, the story out of whack. We get back into the timeline or whatever, and then we get to like a certain age, and I don't really want to it's like hard to say without saying like, you know, we get to a certain age where something very traumatic happened to me in my life that really bothers me. Let's just say that. And she starts like, and mind you, the entire time I'm talking, she's like, and so the first time she did it, I promise you, I didn't even notice, but she made it obvious. She made it obvious herself because she's like, I don't want you to think I'm sleepy or you're boring me or anything. I'm listening. I'm listening. And so she gets she even hit me with the sitting up straight, both eyes closed. This eye probably didn't close, but sitting up straight, both eyes closed. At one point, she was dead ass just sitting like this. I think she was asleep then too. Some people can sleep with their eyes open. I think she was asleep then too. So like I'm going through this timeline, and the reason why I think she was asleep then too because I had said something, and then when she like, came back to Awakeville, she's like, telling me like, oh, um, can you tell me that again? Because I forgot to write that down. What did you say? And so I'm like, bro, what the hell is happening? And I'm just like going with it because like something's deeply wrong with me when things go fucked up and bad stuff happens. I just play along with it for some reason, and I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm just not. And so like, yeah, I'm going along with it, and like I'm just like ignoring that it's happening. Basically, I'm not going along with it per se. I'm just ignoring that it's happening. And so, secondly, she starts writing down stuff. She's writing her journal. Now, this part that I'm about to say, I don't know if okay, so let me just say it. To me, it looked like she was just scribbling on lines. But people do shorthand writing. And as a therapist, I feel like that's something you have to do, shorthand writing. I mean, because how else can you write out everything? But to me, it's just like chicken scratch. So I'm thinking in my head, like, yo, is she just writing, squiggling just to say that she wrote something down just so she can gaslight me further? Like, as if she isn't sleep in my face. And so she kept saying, like, oh, I'm sorry. She started to say, oh, I'm sorry. It's super cold in here. I'm like dozing off. Like, but saying it in a playful way. So at that point, I'm still in denial. I'm like, she's not really asleep. Like, hit the cap. I'm calling cops. She's not really asleep. There's no way. There's no way this lady's asleep in my second session with her. But then she falls asleep. Like, she was fighting to sleep, but then she falls asleep, like snores while I'm talking. And then she's like, and that's when she tells me, I'm so sorry about this. Let's just go ahead and end the session. Mind you, we had already been there for an hour. So it was the full session. So she's like saying, let's end the session. But like, bro, why didn't you end the session when you ate your food? Like I would have been cool with she, I don't know. Like just to recount such traumatic things and have someone falling asleep was just very like, it did something to me. It's still doing something to me. I don't even know how to say it. So we say goodbye, whatever. A couple days later, and something told me to tell this person, my friend, but I didn't tell them. I was just like, I'm thinking to myself, like, they're gonna make it a big deal in regards to give her a second chance. Don't quit on therapy. Like, you've been going to this therapist and going to that therapist. Just try to make it work. Like, don't keep telling me about the stuff that's happening wrong, that's going wrong. Like, just try to, push through it. And like, honestly, I didn't want to hear that. So I'm like, you know what? I already know what this person gonna say. And to be honest, that was the only person. And now I'm like not even, telling them stuff like that anymore, just because like I think like okay, now I'm like, I think that I'm the type of person, if you tell me, hey, you can call me whenever you need to call me and you could talk to me, whatever, about whatever, I'm going to think you really mean that. So please don't say it if you don't. That's me. And so long story short, I think that I probably overused that welcome. I don't know how else to say that. Like, I overused that welcome. So now I don't do that anymore. And so at that point, I had made that decision as well. But a couple days later, we had a meeting, and I may be remembering, maybe it was two other sessions before she fell asleep on me for the first time. Maybe remembering this out of whack. But a couple of days later, we had a meeting with myself, my friend, and the therapist because I was a part of a TACT team where the therapist where I have like a therapist, psychologist, therapist, psychiatrist, case manager, caseworker, housing specialist, and all this other stuff. But honestly, it didn't go down like that. Second, sorry. Second, sorry, let me just focus. Um, so the second time she fell asleep, I had a situation with my mother. Not a situation with my mother, like an argument, but something happened with my mother, and I wanted to talk to my therapist. Like we talked about something that triggered me. That's what I should say. Yeah, we talked about something that triggered me, and I wanted to talk to my therapist about my thought process about it. Like my mom and I, we had a decent conversation. It was a deep, heart to heart conversation, but something came up in the conversation that triggered me. And I wanted to talk to my therapist about it and how it was making me spiral. And I'm like, hey, I should call the therapist and see, like, is it a good idea to go to the hospital and blah, blah. And mind you, we had that meeting because I was supposed to have a caseworker and then, well, multiple caseworkers who reached out to me and who would come to my house if I wasn't feeling like safe or wasn't feeling like good. But we had that meeting because it had not been happening and it still was not happening. And so I wanted to talk to my therapist about that situation with my mom, but I had already had a session booked for, a couple hours later. So I'm like, great, I could talk to her about it. And so I waited for therapy. And girl, why did she fall asleep during the session? So I started to tell her what happened. We started the session. She wanted to do the timeline stuff. I said, actually, I want to talk about something else today. Like, first of all, I was uncomfortable doing the timeline in general. So I'm like, I'd rather, which I get the reason why it's important to do the trauma timeline. It's like certain things show up every day if you don't address them. I get that, but I wasn't ready to do that because I didn't know her. I had no rapport with her. And also, I'm just not ready to do that in general. And so I started talking about my mom, what happened, how it made me feel, and I couldn't even get it all out because she was asking me questions about the trauma timeline. Like, oh, clarify what happened after this. You know, you talked when we left off, we were at this event. Tell me about that. And I started to go into telling her about that, but I don't know why I didn't just say in the beginning, hey, I want to talk about this. It's like she was leading me and I was following basically until I, came to it. And I'm like, actually, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about this, but this is still like 15 minutes into the session. So I had plenty of time to really talk to her and get what I wanted, get what I needed from the session. So I was cool with that. With her leading me somewhere else, but like I brought it back to where I wanted it to be. So I was okay, like, hey, whatever. And so she asked me, she's like, sorry. She asked me, she's like, so tell me about this event, tell me about that event. But I brought it back to, hey, this is what happened with my mom. I swear to God, she just goes silent. And do you know when someone's not listening to you, but they want to pretend like they're listening to you? That is such a fucked up thing to do to a person. I know some of you guys think that's cute. Some of you guys in the world may think that's cute to just be like, oh, la 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 la, I'm not gonna really listen to you. Whatever. I'm just gonna let you say whatever and not actually listen and pretend here and there that I actually care about you. If that's the case, we just don't need to be around each other. Like, listen to me, understand, care about what I have to say. And if you just don't naturally feel inclined to care or listen to me, we don't have to do this. Like, we don't have to be around each other. Like, it's not even, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that deep. Like, we don't have to force something that's not working. If you don't feel inclined to, I'm just getting into another topic because I'm also upset about something that happened. But yeah, but that's how I feel, especially in terms of a therapist. Like, if you don't feel like you can listen to me and be an active listener, maybe we should just go ahead and part ways because I'm kind of in need of an active listener. And if that's not you, that's okay. Like, just let me know. But she starts like pretending like she was listening to me, and so she starts saying the opposite of what I said. So let's say if I said this person really traumatized me because they did X, Y, and Z, she's like, "Oh, it sounds like that person really loved you, and they showed you that they loved you by doing that, doing what you said earlier." And so she dead ass told me, and it's really upsetting me, and I'm like getting loud. Sorry about that. She dead ass told me like, it sounds like this person. I'm gonna say Kara. It sounds like Kara really loved you and she showed you that she loved you by doing X, Y, and Z. But X, Y, and Z was some traumatic shit that happened to me. So, like, to hear from a therapist, bitch, you're the expert. Tell me that this person, Kara, loved me and she showed me love by abusing me. It really just did something to me. And I know logically, listen, I have a whole brain. I understand she was not listening to me. So, of course, she said something to contradict what I told her. But to hear someone say that that person loved me and they showed me love by doing the traumatic thing that I didn't even want to talk about, that she made me say, like, what? It's just so, it's doing something to me and I can't identify it. And it's really like, it's been bothering me. But like, it's just like, what can I do? What can I do? Like, what can I actually do? And so, like, that's the whole thing. That's it. um, she said that, and then like she's like, "Oh, okay. So tell me about your mom. Tell me about your mom." And so I'm like telling her blah blah blah. She dead ass goes silent again, and I'm like, why are you snoring on the phone? Snoring, and when I say snoring, I'm not being like, it wasn't like that. It was just something like a little low key. But if you're in a state of like, if you're like in crisis and you hear that on the phone, you're gonna notice it. Just speaking from experience, even though it's minor and it's not a big thing, you're gonna notice that. And so when I noticed that, I was just like, yo, is she really asleep on this phone? She's asleep. So this is what's going through my head. And then she comes back she asks me another question, which I'm not even going to say here, that completely contradicts, kind of pretty much what she did before. Sounds like Carrie Cat really loves you, but completely contradicts what I just said. And at this point, it enrages me. And one thing about me is, for the most part, when I'm truly, truly angry, you will never know because I'm going to talk to you just like this. I'm not going to move. I'm always like still, And so what I was enraged and I was like, you know what? Honestly, I'm actually very upset. So I'm going to end this call. Hung up the phone. She sends me a text message and it's on my phone. And I'm just so upset that hold on, let me see. It's irrelevant. Like, I'm not about to go through my messages and show you guys the receipts, but like, she sent me a text message. She's like, hi, Joy. I'm so sorry. I have a head cold and I think that the medication that I took has put me to sleep made me fall asleep with you on the phone. Mind you, I didn't even know this. Therapists are not supposed to call you while you're on the phone. They're supposed to do like the telehealth thing so that the conversation is private between you and them, and they guarantee. So the camera's always supposed to be on. It's not supposed to be phone therapy. I didn't even know that. So she violated me there too. I had no idea. So someone could have been in the room hearing, my deepest, darkest secrets, and I just didn't even know. Like, I I don't know if she did that, but honestly, I didn't think she was gonna fall asleep on me. Like, there's no way going into therapy with her that someone would be able to convince me that this lady was gonna fall asleep. Like, it can't be you, not Miss Credentials, not Miss I got the cure for you, not Miss I got you, I'm here for you, not you falling asleep twice. Okay, girl. And so she sends me that message, and I just said, discharge me. I said, like, I didn't just say discharge me. I said I need to be discharged. That's it. I didn't acknowledge her apology. I need to be discharged. She's like, okay, if that's what you want to do, then cool. Text me a few days later. I just want to say again, I'm sorry. Mind you, I don't know if it was a few days. She texted me again. Mind you, she had texted me again after I had notified someone else what happened. So, like, to me, it's like it's not genuine. Now, I can't really say whether or not it was genuine or not. It just didn't feel genuine. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't feel like, okay, she's really sorry. But even if she was really sorry, the damage was already done, not even once, but twice. And she knew what I had been through, or she knew what I had told her about me getting therapy. And at that point, I was like, mind you, this was 4 months ago, maybe even a little longer. And I'm like, I cannot, like, these people are making me worse, making me so much worse. And the thing about it is, when I started seeking help, I was going through their systems. I was doing the steps that they told me to do. Like, for example, they told me, if you feel suicidal, go to the hospital. If you even think about something like that, go to the hospital. And I was doing that because that's what they told me to do. And it just made me worse. I feel worse. Like, I feel worse. I'm just keeping it 100. I feel worse. I feel way, 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 way worse. If I could go back to 2020 and do it all over again, I would have just not done anything. I feel worse. Like, I feel worse. I feel worse. I do, especially since this situation. But you know what? I was like, you know what? I'm going to try another therapist because honestly, I do feel worse. And like, I'm just so afraid that the next therapist will not be great, will not help the situation. So you listen, I don't want you to be perfect, but I just don't want another horror story. So if I meet another therapist and I feel like our personalities just don't match, or I just feel like it's not going to work between us, I'm cool with just saying, oh, okay, can you refer me to anyone else? And it's just like a mutual amicable split. I prefer that. Like, okay, amicable split. Let's do something that's going to actually work for me. But you niggas get so obsessed with charging insurance, you forget about the client, and that's just what it is. How is it that that therapist that fell asleep with me charged me for 2 other sessions after she fell asleep, knowing she had not spoken to me? How is that possible? I have it in writing. She admitted to it. She charged me for 2 other sessions. She charged my insurance for 2 other sessions. You're more concerned about me as a number. You don't care about joy. And I cannot see another therapist like that. I really cannot. I don't have the capacity. Like, I can't. I feel worse. And so I'm just saying this because I filled out an application to an intake summary for another therapist, and like, I'm just anticipating for something fucked up to happen, and I just want this here, you know, because like my cat just sneezed, and why a ball of hair just fell down off of him. That's how much that damn cat shed. That's how much that boy sheds. He sneezed, hair flies off him. That is crazy. But like, yeah. Anyways, y'all, thanks for listening. That was the story about how my therapist fell asleep on me. It affects me in ways that I don't even understand. I can't even put it into words. I am deeply in fear that the next therapist does something else, along the lines of violating me. It feels shitty. I can't get past it. I don't ever think I'll get over that. And it's not so much the fact that she fell asleep, but it's the fact that I did that trauma timeline with her and she was asleep. It's the fact that I did the trauma timeline with her and she's saying the opposite of what I'm saying. I had to listen to this lady tell me, it sounds like Kara really loves you because she did X, Y, and Z. It sounds like you have a great support system from Kara. Are you deluded? Like, oh my God. Like, that is just like, like, she is by far the worst therapist. And I've encountered some really effed up stuff. But let me tell you, I will take that over this any day. You weren't even awake for me. Like, you weren't even awake. So like my thing is, if you guys feel like you're, at capacity with patients, let please, if you see my video and you see this, let me in particular know. You don't got to tell nobody else. Like, at this point, I'm only concerned for myself because that's what everyone else is concerned for. So let me in particular know that this ain't going to work. I'm at capacity. I'm tapped out. I can't see you as a client. Thank you. Did me a favor. You could have fell asleep with me on the session. I will never, ever, ever want any therapist to feel obligated to see me if they don't have capacity, and that's just being real. And I feel like that's a very simple request. And yeah. So yeah, she fell asleep. I had to get discharged from the situation. It was an ACT team or TACT team, sorry. And I still need those services, but I'm not currently getting them. Yeah, I have not like gotten any better. I feel worse. um and here's why so many people lose their lives in this mental health battle. And a lot of people make it seem like, oh, women of color or men of color do not seek help. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But when we do, we encounter horror stories. We encounter effed up stuff that discourages us. So there's someone in this world who's probably seen one therapist and never went back. So if I could keep constantly going back, I need to tap myself on the back, literally. Secondly, stop saying that people don't seek therapy. There's a limited amount of quality therapists out there. Let's just go ahead and call a spade a spade. There's a very limited amount of quality therapists in this world. So I think like self therapy has been helping me, because I mean, obviously, I'm still here, right? Even though that made me feel terrible. Um, I do a lot of self therapy, and I'm actually going to I have a lot of videos about that coming soon. And it helped me as far as techniques, but as far as internally how I feel, I feel worse. Worse. How does that even make sense? Like, when I started therapy, I thought that was my rock bottom. I'm like, I can't get worse than that. Yes, you can always get worse. But I have techniques that have been keeping me on this planet that I developed for myself. I didn't learn any of this shit in therapy, never learned it from a therapist. Not no YouTube video about it is out there. And that's why I'm going to create my own videos and stuff. Like, sorry, I'm getting hyped because I'm like very enthused when it comes to this topic. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and dip. I don't want to sit here and like run my mouth too much longer, but thank you so much for coming to my channel, watching this video. And I hope that, although this story was just like a red flag, I hope it doesn't discourage anyone from getting therapy. But I think like definitely when you go into therapy, no one tells you this, but you kind of need to give therapy to yourself. You kind of need to like be able to know that you are your biggest advocate and no one else can advocate for you like you can. You know what I mean? So like if you're in the process of starting therapy, this is not to discourage you at all. This is to tell you like, I'm gonna keep it real. You're gonna run into therapists that may fall asleep on you, may call you angry, may scream in your face, may kick you out of a session, may kick you out of group therapy, even though every other patient is literally crying because they know that you're being done wrong. Or they may they may just straight up not listen to you and fall asleep in the session. Like it is what it is. Like, or it may be things that I can't even think of that could possibly happen in the therapy. In a therapy, there's therapists out there that will sleep, have physical sexual intercourse with their patient. Do you know that you're not even capable of consenting to sex with a therapist, you should know that. You should definitely know that. That's something you should definitely keep inside of your memory bank if you ever get into a therapy session and you feel like, oh, this therapist is coming on to me sexually, but I kind of like that. You're not capable of consenting with them because there's this thing called superhero syndrome or whatever it is where you like begin to love someone who's about to like who you feel like are really coming to your rescue or whatever, and you potentially never had that in your life before, but you see this therapist and they're actually listening to every single thing you're saying, so now you think that it's mutual love. It's not mutual love. It's that person doing their job. So you being involved with them is definitely illegal because you cannot consent and they cannot make you. Anyways, and they know that. Period. Yeah. Anyways, let me go ahead and end this live because now I'm just talking about stuff that's not really on the topic of what I want to talk about. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and like it was super difficult for me to make. And yeah, I'm probably gonna like I don't know. I'm gonna go back to work because I'm on my lunch break. But deuces.